The Cardinals may have just signed their next fix-em-up project relief pitcher that we can then turn and flip into something big, and the rest of the league has been making lots of deals this weekend that have a huge impact on what the Cardinals can do this offseason in making trades. Thank you for tuning in to the St. Louis Cardinals Daily Podcast. My name is Andrew Teuscher, and first let's talk about the Cardinals signing of right-handed relief pitcher Ryne Stanek. Took me a little bit of time to figure out that his name is actually Ryne and not Ryan. I sat there for a while ferociously typing into Safari Ryan, and then it kept autocorrecting me to Ryne. It was a thing, but his name is officially Ryne. He has spent quite a bit of time in the big leagues so far, being 34 years old. He's a St. Louis native. He didn't go to high school in St. Louis, so we couldn't play the classic "Where did you go to high school?" St. Louis game, but, at least he was here at some point. He's been signed to a 1-year, $3.5 million deal with a $6 million club option for 2027, which, as some articles have been saying, is a phenomenal deal if we're going to end up getting Stanek to turn around to what he's been previously in his career. So we love that. Low cost, low risk, and a guy who could mean something for the Cardinals towards the back end of our rotation. The 6'4" righty was a former first-round pick by the Tampa Bay Rays all the way back in 2013. He finally made his MLB debut in 2017, and he is known and was drafted for his high-velocity fastball, something that the Cardinals could certainly add more of, and you can never go wrong with in the back end of a bullpen. He throws his fastball at an average of 98.5 miles per hour, which is the 96th percentile. And watching just a couple clips of him, between his fastball slider combo and just the way he literally throws the ball, his release, his motion, looks a ton like Ryan Helsley. I am not going to say by any means he's as good as Ryan Helsley, at least not right now in his career. But previously, he has been better than Ryan Helsley. So a lot of that and I think Cardinal fans will notice that as we see him pitch, hopefully more and more high leverage points. He has a 71st percentile whiff rate last year and a 72nd percentile chase rate. But his ERA ballooned to 5.3 last year with the New York Mets because of some incredibly problematic command issues, which have plagued him his whole career, but really caught him last year. Initially looking at a 34-year-old having a bad season like that, my concern was that he lost the fastball. Clearly he hasn't. So maybe there's some stuff here we can repair and help build on his command and help get him back to where he's been, because he's been up and down for a lot of his career, which, unless you're an elite relief pitcher, a lot of relief pitchers who have been in the league for a while, that's typically what happens. So it's not crazy to see, and it's not all that concerning, and frankly, it looks like the Cardinals are getting him in a time where he's at his lowest value, and we could really get a lot out of him. He has a career 3.85 ERA and 458 innings pitched. By far the most traveled guy in our bullpen now with his signing. In a kind of a career journey path for him. In 2020, he played really badly in an injury-filled season, had a 7.2 ERA. After having an initial success with the Tampa Bay Rays in 2020 was a down year. He then found himself getting shipped out of town in 21 and 2022 and found his way to the Houston Astros, where he found a lot of success. He had some early success with the Tampa Bay Rays in 2018 and 2019. 2020, like I said, was bad, but with Houston is really where Ryne took off and made a name for himself in baseball. And because in that time with Houston in 21 and 22, he had a 2.41 ERA. And most importantly for the Astros, when they won that, the Evil Empire won their World Series in 2022, he had a 1.15 ERA and was, along with some other great bullpen pieces, one of the very important reasons why the Houston Astros made the World Series championship that they did. He had 145 strikeouts and 123 innings pitched in those 2 years with Houston. After that, they shipped him out of town because in 2023, he had a really rough year at 31 years old with a 4.09 ERA. Could have been worse. He has been worse, but they shipped him out after that. In 2024, he found himself in Seattle, and then going from Seattle to the New York Mets in a trade where he had a 4.88 ERA in that year. And finally, in 2025, they brought him back to the New York Mets because he had a phenomenal postseason for them, and it was decent down the stretch despite the overall bad numbers in 24. But in 25, he had a 5.3 ERA, had a couple good months, but far more bad months there with the Mets at the end. And again, the issue is almost entirely his walk rate, leading to big issues for the high-velocity pitcher. His walk rate has never been better than in the 28th percentile, and that was an outlier year for him. Most years he found his walk rate in the 10th or less percentile. So the dude is out there to do one thing, and everybody knows it. He's going to throw cheese, pair it with a slider, and hopefully he strikes you out, because if he doesn't, you're probably getting a walk on him. So that's a guy that I'm glad the Cardinals don't have to rely on in their bullpen, but a dude that I think is definitely worthwhile signing. We brought him in 1 year, $3.5 million. If he does phenomenal, maybe we consider keeping him if the team overachieves, like I constantly say about some of these guys. I'm not going to say foregone conclusion that the Cardinals are horrible next year, like not 100 losses. I really don't think that happens. Maybe we mess around and linger around 500, and it's nice having a guy in the back of our bullpen so we can see how things work out. And most likely scenario, we trade him at the deadline or go in the offseason, because if he has a great year this year, we do not have to worry about him leaving. He has that $6 million club option, which if he has a great year and it's worth keeping him, we'll probably pick up and then trade in the offseason, because $6 million for a 35-year-old who throws gas, that's a pretty good deal. And I think we could flip him later on, kind of like we're trying to do right now with Jojo Romero. Frankly, I think he sounds like the guy that the Cardinals have brought in before. Will maybe end up fixing up a little bit and shipping off and seeing go other places. We did this with Phil Matone, Andrew Kittredge, Jojo Romero, and even a few years back, guys like TJ McFarland and Luis Garcia. Dudes who have seen a little bit of success, we bring in, and then hopefully they can blossom here. With Stanek, it really seems like it's maybe just some high variance that without the Cardinals doing anything really special could get him right back into being a great pitcher. He's, again, 3.85 ERA for a guy with 450 innings pitched in the big leagues. I'm shocked he's not finding himself on a contender somewhere, giving him some sort of shot. And maybe he signs with the Cardinals. He's from St. Louis again. Grew up in Kansas outside of this. So maybe just likes the area, and that's what brought him here. He'll also have plenty of opportunity to pitch. So maybe he found himself in a lot of minor league contracts. Makes sense for him. Makes sense for the Cardinals. I love it. I briefly want to go into some other big news that has impacted the Cardinals offseason that I've been talking about potentially happening, but has finally happened and will hopefully lead to actual news coming up here really soon. First big thing that got announced this weekend was that Ketel Marte, per Ken Rosenthal of The Athletic, says that Marte is officially staying put with the Diamondbacks. They will be trying to contend this year, with Ketel Marte being a massive piece along with Corbin Carroll and company. And this obviously helps out the Brendan Donovan market, which I've been talking about constantly. It seemed like a deal was not going to get done. They probably just... I don't know if it was just all rumors at this point, because the Diamondbacks GM really talks about how he really always just wanted to keep Ketel Marte, and maybe things just got blown way out of proportion, and GMs were wanting to pry him away, and it wasn't really that he was out there. Regardless, teams, Marte is not an option, but you know who is? One Brendan Donovan. And if you want a piece in your lineup that will actually make a difference, along with playing Gold Glove defense at every position on the diamond, pretty good guy for you. Or the Cardinals can keep him, of course, but it's big for something actually happening, if it will ever happen, with Brendan Donovan. Your only other option if you want a big-time bat, which I know he's better. BOMBSHELL is better than Brendan Donovan, but BOMBSHELL is the only other difference-making player you can really sign who plays middle infield in any capacity. And while Bichette's projected to sign a 7-year, $190 million contract, that's a lot different than Brendan Donovan. So there's certain teams that cannot sign BOMBSHELL, whose only remaining option is the very affordable Brendan Donovan, which Chaim Bloom must be sitting there, just rubbing his hands, ready for somebody to call him up and make the deal that he has been wanting, which Ken Rosenthal recently came out with that report that the Cardinals are just viewing him way too highly in Brendan Donovan. It sounds like that might have come out of teams trying to communicate through the public that it's Chaim Bloom's fault that Brendan Donovan isn't landing on their teams. Because if I'm a Mariners, Giants, Royals fan or Red Sox fan who's desperately wanting an infielder on their team, I'd be complaining, and it sounds like maybe that the GM's trying to get some noise out there saying it's St. Louis's fault why he's not there. Also, that's what Chaim Bloom should do. He should view him as a highly regarded piece because he is one. And if he doesn't get what he wants, keep him, because why do we need to ship him off? So that's a big move for the Cardinals that happened this weekend. Another big one that happened was Alex Bregman signs a 5-year deal with the Chicago Cubs. This is big for a couple of reasons. One, it's in the Cardinals division, and that's a 5-year contract for a guy that's going to be around for a long time. Combine that with the Edward Cabrera deal, and the Cubs are trying to push their chips in a little bit. It's been a while since the Cubs have made a big long-term move. Obviously, last year they brought in Kyle Tucker, but that was a 1-year deal, and with the signing of Bregman, I can't imagine they're dishing out big contracts to both of those guys. So the Cubs are really trying to get good. Now, why this also has a big impact is the Cardinals are trying to trade away a veteran, solid defending third baseman, which matches the profile of Bregman. Clearly, Bregman's in a different tier of his own, but at the end of the day, the teams who are looking to sign Bregman, most of them, we're looking to fill a hole at third base, which Nolan Arenado can help fill. He's at least, I think he's an average baseball player at this point, with some highs and lows in different categories and skills. Overall, an average player. So if you don't have anything brewing for you at third base, he's definitely an option. If you swung and miss on Alex Bregman, you got something going on now. And we know at least one team was pushing hard for Alex Bregman, and it's a team that the Cardinals know oh so well, the Boston Red Sox, where Bregman last played, and it came out in the news weeks ago, or at least a week ago, that Bregman was offered a 5-year, $165 million deal, and the Cubs signed him for 5 years, $175 million. On top of that, there's stuff that's coming out that's saying that the Red Sox, by their principles, do not give out full no-trade clauses, which the Cubs were very ready to hand over, and the Cubs were also able to defer less of his money than he was with the Red Sox. So there's other reasons why it wasn't just the $10 million difference is why he's not going back to the Red Sox. But hey, Red Sox, we got Brendan Donovan. We got Nolan Arenado. Let's 2 for 1, throw him in and see what we can get back. It feels likely like the Red Sox could make another deal with the Cardinals. It seems like a bit at this point. I don't know if we're getting pranked, what this is, but this would make a ton of sense. Along with the Arizona Diamondbacks, who have been known to be in on Alex Bregman as well, go get you a Brendan Donovan. Go get you a Nolan Arenado. This would make a lot of sense as they're bringing back Marte and just missed out on Bregman being one of his suitors. So hopefully we see stuff actually come out and happen with Arenado and Brendan Donovan, and we'll get more information and more real news. The only question is, will Nolan Arenado waive his no-trade clause to Boston? We'll cover that and more here on the St. Louis Cardinals Daily podcast. Thank you guys for tuning in. Appreciate it.